Hey guys, I'm back and today we're gonna try the ShinHan Designer's Gouache. I'm super excited about trying this gouache because I have really been into improving my gouache skills. I usually use colored pencil and I really like the set. I think it has a good amount of blues and greens, and also it could have a little bit more browns. But overall, for set A in a set that's bigger, it's good. I'm going to use the airtight palette and the swatch sheet, and I think it's going to be good. Now, I am, I guess, a little traumatized from buying cheaper gouaches, so I feel like this is mid-range. It's definitely not top of the line, but neither is it the Five Below gouache that I have been caving on, and so I'm really excited to see how these colors are already opaque on this paper, and I'm looking forward to um, seeing how it looks like in an actual art piece. So far, I'm impressed, and I do want to say that these are all the colors in set A, but I have taken the time to write out all the names of the colors and also mix a lighter purple. I really love like the lilac color that I'm pointing at right now, but it's not in a lot of sets. And so the cool thing is that you can lighten these colors to make the colors that you desire. And in this case, I'm using this airtight palette from Dean. I should have brought this earlier because I I don't know what I was thinking just carrying around tubes. This is perfect. This is amazing, and I just love the fact that I can see all the colors up front. The top part of the palette, it comes out, and so I'm excited about that. And I've got my tester um, sketchbooks that, of course, I've been using colored pencil in. I think this is Stillman and Burns, and so I use gouache in it, and I also use other mediums, and it's pretty cool. So today we are painting a fox by a dam. I just watched the movie Hoppers, and it's about a little girl helping forest animals fight urban development in her neighborhood. So there are no big like fox characters in the movie, uh, but it just made me think of foxes, and I just wanted to paint one next to a dam. And in this case, I feel like, hmm, I am using a decent amount of paint. That's what I've noticed about gouache. I am okay with that, I guess. I feel like I want to experience the wet gouache as it comes out of the tube. And I've been doing this thing where I have been carrying around tubes, but I wanted to see if the airtight palette can actually keep the paint dry in certain instances, and then I could use it later on and reactivate the paint. And then the other option is to actually use it in an airtight palette where I can, um, you know, have it in the palette and keep it wet. I have noticed, you know, I kept it in the airtight palette. I sprayed it, and it just seemed that after 1 or 2 days, it was dry. And because it's gouache, I think like to myself like, oh, it's going to reactivate, but it does reactivate in a less opaque color. And so I've noticed that, like, I guess the paper really matters. Well, not I guess, I'm learning. It does not matter what you do if the paper quality is not good. it's just not gonna work. It's not gonna work. It's I'm sorry. Like they yes, you can make art on anything, but I've noticed that good supplies go a long way. And in this case, I'm using I think a Hannah Mule watercolor sketchbook. So I like using things that work for different mediums. I do want to be like a mixed media artist. I'm just getting there. I'm getting there. And I've been doing so many things digitally that I kind of had to rebuild what my style is. And so in this case, I really like gouache. I think it's super cool. It's a little bit more predictable, and I want to see how I evolve from there. In this case, I do say that the set could have used a kind of more muted orange. This orange kind of feels like a highlighter, and it's okay because everything is subjective. But I would have liked to have like a more kind of muted orange to go in a set of this size. 24 is not small, but it's also not big. And the wonderful thing about gouache is that you can mix it. And so I think tomorrow when I go to the store, I think I'm going to go to Blick. I'm going to pick up some gouache, some white gouache, and I'm going to decide. Maybe I don't need to decide, but I'm going to go between Holbein or Windsor and Newton gouache. And I want to see how the two different whites activate with these paints and can give me a bigger range of colors. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in one of the wells in this palette, but eventually I just want to be that type of person to not mix that much. And I have that confession. I don't have any shame about it at all because I just don't particularly enjoy mixing so many colors because I feel like you're not going to get the same exact result all the time. There is a method to madness. I do have like a color mixing book, but overall, like, I just want to paint like a kid and like just pick the color from the tube and just go from there. And I think that's okay with me. Everyone doesn't need to be a mixologist. But if you want to do that, that's okay. For me, I'm coming from colored pencils and markers. I might do another video showing a mix of those two different gouaches and how they change the actual original palette. And in this case, I'm just going to consider thinking about how to store my paints. And I don't know if anyone has any suggestions in the comments on what to get, that would be helpful because I have ran through so many art supplies in the past, and I'm in the process of doing another video on all the sketchbooks that I've used and all of the medium mismatch that I've kind of had to go through that I actually appreciate now because if I hadn't have experimented, I wouldn't have known, what I wanted to do in the future and how that could change the type of sketchbook I bought, the type of brushes I bought. Um, I feel like now, even me using this watercolor book, I'm using brushes that are not the most expensive brushes, but are brushes that feel good on my hands. Sometimes I have carpal tunnel and arthritis in my fingers, and so that's also a big thing. Like using supplies that you feel comfortable with. and supplies that you know that you're going to keep. And it makes you feel less bad about like spending so much money on things that you don't use. And sometimes when you do use something expensive, you actually know it works for you. So it makes it more fun. And in this case, I feel like the gouache is mid-range. Like I said before, I enjoy just using mid-range products. And also, what I've noticed is some of those products start off mid-range, but become high range. So, take that with a grain of salt because there have been certain brands that were tester brands or like student grade brands that were rebranded as professional. And yeah, the formula is still the same, but they're now professional and they're more expensive. So art is a privilege, in my opinion, even though it should be a right. And I just think that everyone should find something that they like. And in this case, I really like the more opaque gouache colors. And I am also in the process of seeing how long it takes for this to dry. So I would say it took about 10 minutes for it to fully dry, and that is the patience that I must develop going from dry media to wet media is the drying time. And I love watercolor because it dries so quickly. But with gouache, what I notice is that sometimes the colors don't dry as same as I can't even speak. Sometimes the colors do not dry the same as they look in the palette. Some of the colors are not off, but they definitely can dry lighter or dry darker. And in this case, um, some of them are the exact color that they are in the palette, but I noticed that, I did have to go over with some layers eventually. And um, I like to use like thick outlines. I am like visually challenged. So like I don't know why adding outlines just satisfy me, but it also helps me to frame and process the picture in my mind. And so yeah, like experimentation is super important. It is not a waste of time. Not every like thing has to be perfect, and sometimes it's just about seeing what you like. And I think also color theory is so underrated because so many people value the line work, value the precision, and and in so many cases, it's also about the expression. And so I've been thinking about like the combination of like expression, precision, and color and spontaneity. It's so many different things that come into play. And so the more that you explore, the better you are of getting those ideas like out of your head and onto paper, onto quality paper. um, and making sure that you can capture whatever is in your mind and share it with others. And that's exactly, what I want to do. And in this case, I found that the supplies were sufficient. And I also noticed that it took a little bit of patience for the paints to dry. But once they were dry, it was easy to layer on the Pentel marker on top of it. The combination of mediums is super good. It cut down on the frustration of having to work really fast that I would probably have to do with something like watercolor. But then I also got to think more about my piece while I waited for it to dry. So there are definitely trade-offs and benefits and all the things in between. But overall, it was a good experience.